I have to say, I mean, all it came across to me was that the depiction of this member of the family was just being very cruel to a young boy. It is interesting. I mean, talking of cruelty, Prince Andrew thinks he's been hard done by. Rots reports over the weekend that he's still planning a return to public life. Prince Charles, sorry, do this all the time. King Charles still having none of it. But it is extraordinary that Prince Andrew does not get it, does he?
No, not at the moment. He never. In a way, that's always been his problem. His arrogance has always been his undoing. And this is the problem. And he thinks now he's just holed up in his house in Windsor. And clearly he feels completely restrained. But it's all his own doing.
But in terms of way back also, what about Harry and Meghan? It turns out next month they're going to receive a Human Rights Award in New York, with wealthy Americans paying up to $1 million for 4 places, including sitting at the top table with Harry and Meghan. This is a humanitarian award that has been won by previous presidents like Barack Obama and Bill Clinton. What are they getting it for? Can you do we know what amazing work they've done? I mean, I know there's some charitable work they've done, but again, to be fair, when you're a royal, that's your job.
Oh, yeah, well, yes, you're there to help and support people. And the Archewell Foundation, I think it's supposed to be linked to that, but clearly it's a PR opportunity for them. I mean, actually, when you think just yesterday, I think Jeff Bezos gave Dolly Parton $100 million for charity. And that seemed, for her, she's obviously doing some good work. It clearly will be an opportunity for Harry and Meghan to grandstand. But yes, fine, they may be doing great work with their charities, and I'm sure there is some good work going on. But so soon to be getting a fated like that does seem to me to be disingenuous, and clearly they will relish the occasion. Fine. And if people are prepared to pay $1 million to go and sit at the top table with them, well, more fools.
I've got to be honest with you.
But
I'd pay $1 million not to have to sit. I'd go, no, thanks. I'll sit somewhere else. I'll sit in the kitchen. And I was always very open with my daughter. But gay friends come to the house, and what is that? His husband? How can he? Because 2 men can be around. Oh, okay. No big deal, no biggie, no issue. But teaching children about teaching young children the concept that you could be born in the wrong body, this belief that you could be born in the wrong body, and that men and women can change sex. Again, you can change how you live as a different sex, but you don't change your actual sex. That is immutable. But we are seeing a report proposing new NHS treatment guidelines in Scotland suggests a general move away from gendered healthcare, and warns that trans people are put off attending services if they are targeted at a certain sex. So we're not going to have women's clinics because some men who choose to live as women, who are perfectly aware they were born a man, are still biologically a man, are going to be put off. That's going to cost women's lives.
What about the women that are put off? I know a lot of women would certainly not want to go to a clinic. You've got victims of domestic abuse, rape, and, just women who just don't want to be in a women's space with men. So they're then going to be put off.
But I've said this to you before. I've got family in New York, but I don't have a right to go and live in New York.
No, so if you wanted to do so, if you washed up on the shores of New York, you then have to make a case. If you're looking for refugee statements, you'd have to make a case. And that's what every government is.
I wouldn't be able to get off the boat or the plane, and you know perfectly well.
In their mortgages.
Are we going to mention the fact that we shut down the British economy for a year and a half for lockdowns supported by the Labour Party? I mean, the main reason we've been in this mess, prices were going up even before the invasion of Ukraine. The main reason this mess is because we basically shut down our economy for a year and a half.
Nobody denied that shutting down the economy was going to have an economic impact. And of course, we did support lockdowns because we believed that before we had a vaccine, that we had to limit our social interactions.
You wanted lockdowns to continue long after we'd vaccinated people. But I'm just saying, it's amazing how much the mini budget from Liz Truss comes up before anyone mentions we locked down our economy for a year and a half and paid people to sit at home twiddling their thumbs, and we're surprised we've got mass inflation.
Well, the reason that mini budget comes up so much is because it led to a crisis on the market with gilt yields rising and a run on pension funds, which in turn led to mortgage lenders withdrawing mortgage offers and putting more expensive mortgage offers on the table as a consequence of that budget. So that's why it comes up so often, because so many people are facing hundreds of pounds extra in their mortgage every month as a consequence of decisions by the Conservatives in that mini budget.
That's not true. Look, there's no doubt at all there was a massive market impact from what Liz Truss announced, announced in that mini budget. The vast majority of the problems we're in right now are as a result of either post-lockdown policies and the huge borrowing we did and the Ukraine war. So, I mean, it's simply not the case that the main reason we are in the absolute financial black hole we're in right now, that's actually because of much long-term policies. And bearing in mind, you support the policies on Ukraine and you supported lockdown in the Labour Party. So we've been exactly the same mess, possibly even worse, given you wanted lockdowns to go on for longer, if Labour had been in charge all this time.
Not true, Julia.
Which bit wasn't true?
We called for a circuit breaker in order to prevent further lockdowns.
They had one in Wales. How'd that work out?
Well, look,
you're saying in November 2020, if we'd had that circuit breaker, that we would not have got into lockdown for months on end in January. Lisa, I have the hugest respect for you, but that's a load of cobblers.
And you should have respect for the people across the country in places like Wigan, the town that I live in and represent, that were in lockdown for far longer than most parts of the country. Nobody wanted to see an end to lockdowns more than I did. And that meant we had to get a grip on the health crisis very early. That's why we were pushing the government to stop messing around with Matt Hancock in the Department for Health, thinking that he could get a grip on this crisis from the centre and let us across Greater Manchester do it for ourselves. When we did get the right to do that, we got a grip on the crisis. We set up a proper test and trace system. We procured our own PPE and we found our way out of this nightmare.
Well, we were still spent basically 18 months in this country in some version of lockdown. That is why we're in the mess we're in financially. And Labour supported us going into those lockdowns and not coming out of them. But the trouble is that an awful lot of people would have been saying to me on air and off air, we thought we'd elected a Conservative government in 2019. Yeah, we got Brexit, great. And yes, COVID hit, lockdown decisions, yeah, would have been a lot worse under Labour. We'd still be in lockdown now if it was up to them. Who are we kidding? However, a lot of people are saying we've elected a Conservative government and we seem to have Labour policies. And today is going to be a Labour autumn statement. What do you say to that?
No, I don't think at all. I mean, cast your mind back, before you were born, 1979.
No. Look, I was born long before that, but I thank you for your chivalry there, sir.
but cast your mind back to the early Thatcher. First thing she did was balance the books, and remember what Truss and Qualting were pretending to do or thinking they were doing was copying her. They weren't. She got the books balanced first, then she got the tax down second.
But she also saw mass unemployment, which she saw as a reasonable cost to bear, but she wasn't bearing it.
No, that's true. That's true. And that isn't true today. And ironically, I mean, this may sound ridiculous, and it is in a way, but the low unemployment is one of the inflation problems now. The cost of employing people is going up because you can't find employees, and it's not just here. It's in France, it's in Germany, it's in America. There's an employment issue around the world because people are deciding not to work.